What's up, fire signs? This one's for you. Going to be doing an energy reading for this week. So if you're curious what might be going on, stick around. We're about to get into it. All right. So I am so sorry I couldn't get this posted yesterday. I literally could not bring myself to do anything. And I had to honor that. I had a crazy market on Sunday, but it was amazing. It was so fun. It was a Ren Fair, inspired market. So it was just a good time. All right, the Herald, small regrets, longing. Ooh, I haven't gotten this card yet, so I'm going to read it from the book and see what it entails. Nimble hands pluck at the strings of a lute, and fragrant smoke curls from beneath the wide brim of a hat. The herald exudes an easy sort of charm that draws others to them as they play their tune. But beneath that smile and easy laugh, there is an undercurrent of melancholy. They think back to the day that their life changed, to the flowers on the hillsides and the hares in the grass, the guard waiting in ambush. Would their fate have been different had they taken a different path back then? Or would it still have turned out the same way? It's easy to get caught up in the what ifs, but if you go forward holding on to all of those little regrets, you're going to miss out on the pleasures of the moment. Ooh, man, be your own herald of change and bring something new and more positive into your life. Don't let the force of your own feelings separate you from finding joy in the path you're on now. Man, this is a heavy one. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's just get into that. Let's see with some traditional tarot how this is going to be showing up in your experience materially. Give me a second. I got to get that card. I always say I need a backboard or something. But anyways, you're able to skip ahead if you don't want to see the cards come out. Wow, this is already starting crazy. The Judgment card and the Wheel of Fortune just came out together with the Fool card. Wow. And Death. Yo, fire signs are going through some crazy new endings and beginnings. Wow. Dang. All right, let's get into this. All right, so we're starting off with the Nine of Wands, and this is telling me that there was something that really kind of left you feeling hurt, feeling upset, feeling like you got bonked in the head, by life. But with it being this card specifically, I see that this really taught you a lot. This showed you a lot. It really was a growing opportunity for you, but man, was it a tough one. It was not easy to go through, but man, you came out of it looking pretty good, free of any baggage. You're kind of really stepping into this new beginning fresh. Yeah, that I'm just seeing like you're really trying to not have this linger on your back. I see that you're making a conscious effort to, keep this in the past and not bring it forward. But of course, there are going to be times where that's harder. It's easier said than done, right? But man, with the Judgment card and the Wheel of Fortune coming out at the same exact time, and then the Death card coming after that, this is pretty significant. The Fool leading up to this. So that's some crazy shit. So this is a huge transformation. This is a pivotal point in your journey that you're going to remember later on. And I think, something that's coming up with this initial card right here that we started with is make sure that you feel this right now and understand why you're making these decisions, and you don't have any regrets even now, right? Because if you have them now, who knows what you might feel later. And I feel like maybe even something came up in your experience where you might feel like, am I making the right decision? It might be making you question yourself, but let's keep going. So whatever this situation is, it's It's done. You really are ending something here and leaving it behind. You're being reborn at this time. Like, this is a huge rebirth. You know, ending a cycle, death and rebirth, death again, right? It's like, this is really saying, like, it's done. This is done. Like, this energy, at least. I'm not saying the person that you're with is going to be over forever, but this energy is over and you're moving on, and now you're moving on with an incredible amount of strength that you did not have stepping into this, you know, because you had to be here before you could get here. And I think that this was a huge learning lesson for you in order for you to get here. And I think that it's important to realize that if you had not gone through this thing, you wouldn't be this. And that's how you eliminate regrets. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. How did you come out of this situation? Are you still like this and not this yet? Then you might have some work to do. And when I say this, you know, with the Emperor, this is confidence, strength, power, understanding of why you make your decisions, why you feel the way you do. It's having no question in your mind about what you are feeling and what you need, right? And not saying that you don't care about others in that, but it's saying, like, you are able to advocate for you and do what you got to do to get what you need out of this life. And I feel like whatever situation you're coming from, it wasn't giving you that. So you have to look at it like that. I feel like this is really a message for your future self, maybe not even now. And if you're having those glimmers of regret, we got to talk about how to let that go, because it's not going to help you. Like it said, like the card said, is not going to help you. All right. So after Emperor, you know, gaining this confidence, you start to feel really harmonious in your life. You're starting to feel like things are finding their, you know, footing. There's a path being formed and a lot of growth, you know, a lot of fruitful, you know. Oh, okay, let me slow down. So a lot of, things that are going to be sprouting into fruits, right? There's like a fertile energy here where you're going to be able to see a lot of growth maybe later on from this, and maybe you're seeing glimmers of that now. I keep saying glimmer, which is really interesting. I don't normally say that, but yeah, so that must be a little theme today. But yeah, Queen of Pentacles right after the Nine of Pentacles, that is so powerful, because it really is like you got a taste of this harmonic energy and boom, you're like, dude, I belong here. These are like, let me sit down because I love this garden. You know, it's like that type of energy for real. And you're really seeing like how you didn't need what you thought you needed back then. Like I don't know, you're able to move on freely and not have as many problems as you thought you were going to. But yeah, you're really figuring things out, and you're kind of holding out for your true fulfillment. I feel like you were trying to get it where you were, but it just wasn't happening, and you knew that you had to step back. And so now you're holding out for whatever this is for you. You know, you're waiting patiently for this thing and still trying to feel out like what you want exactly. You know, maybe you don't know exactly what, you know, your 10 of Pentacles looks like or your 10 of Cups looks like, but you're figuring it out. And that's all that matters, is that you're consciously trying to find it. You know, you're not just like letting life take the wheel. You're saying, no, I want this for myself. I want that. You know, I need to make this move. And so, yeah, you figure it out eventually. And you go towards it, you know, and this is really a leap of faith here, because you're journeying into the unknown. You don't know what this is going to be like exactly. You know, you never lived it, right? So there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unknowns, but you know, you're making that journey alone for now. You know, you're kind of, I feel like this might be mixed. Okay. So some of you are going to be with somebody and some of you are going to be on your own. You know, take it as your situation, as it resonates. That's what I meant to say. But yeah, I do see that regardless of where, if you're taking this journey with someone or on your own, you're going to come out celebratory if you're doing all the things that I was talking about over here, right? So yeah, you're going to be able to celebrate this, feel really good. And you know, I'm noticing the pumpkin. So I feel like by fall, you guys are really going to be settling into your new lives and seeing a different path unfold, because you're kind of like on the cusp of that. So you won't really know what's next until you get there, which I feel like is coming in the fall. And then, yeah, then you'll really be able to see what's next. So kind of take this in chunks, right? So you got the next few months and then the next few months after that. So, you know, take it in months like that and you'll start to see what I'm talking about. But either way, it's going to take a lot of strength because it's going to be tough to kind of see, you know, both sides of this. You know, there are pros and cons to every decision that you make. So you might end up finding those cons later on. You know, it's going to be great. It's going to be feeling great at first, but there are going to be some things that you see are inevitable, right? There's always going to be pros and cons to every decision that we make. There's not going to be anything that's like just completely perfect for us. And that's just how it is. And that's okay, right? It's just kind of like, what do we want to put up with? And I see that you're gonna know that you wanted to put up with that because the Strength card is here, but you need to remind yourself, right? And that's where this is really a longer timeline than I normally do. You know, I say what's going on this week, but maybe just this energy is surfacing and it's gonna have, I'm like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but if you know, you know. But either way, I feel like this is really talking about future you and making sure that you remember when times get hard and things start to, you know, really fall into place of how this decision affects your long term. It's going to be important to not regret this, okay? Because you made this decision, you felt like you needed to do this for a reason, and that's it. If you start beating yourself up, you're going to go even further down a path that you might have not wanted to go down. So you're going to really need to channel this King of Cups energy, have that stability through those emotions, because you're going to go through another wave of whatever is hitting you right now, right? So I'm basically talking about whatever timeline, you know, in a future sense, but it's kind of hard to explain that. But, you know, if you're curious, let me know and I'll explain it, okay? But yeah, King of Cups energy is going to be needed at that time because it's going to be really tough to navigate those waters. But if you can maintain stability and really channel, you know, just neutrality and understanding of yourself and not beating yourself up, that'll help because your world is going to change. Nothing is going to look different nothing is going to look the same by the time fall comes around. So be careful, you know, about your own brain and what it tries to tell you, because I feel like this is a warning. I know fire signs can be very strict and rigid about like themselves, you know, they really hold themselves to a high standard, and that's not a bad thing, but it can affect you in these negative ways. So you got to be careful with that. So I'm just giving you a little warning about what to look out for, but man, this is a crazy journey that you're going on. So let's pull a few confirmation cards just to see. 14 minutes. Okay. Show the world a real you. Maybe you're really, you know, finding yourself at this time and learning how to express that. Damn it. Give me a second. Be bold and make the first move. So that's interesting. Maybe if you are finding that there's regrets about how you handled the situation later on, maybe even save this video, you know, if you're like, holy shit, I don't know, if you're really resonating, maybe you'll be able to look back on this later and it'll help you get out of that funk that, like, energy is saying that there's going to be a funk, period, right? So this is just like my warning, you know, like a weather forecast for later on in the year, I guess. But yeah, so be bold and make the first move is basically saying, like, if you have any regrets, do something about it, right? If you're feeling, hey, this has really got me down, bro, like this is really affecting me still, and I thought I was doing what was right, maybe I need to reach out to that person. Maybe you do, you know? A personal issue reaches resolution. That's no doubt. There is something that is really coming to a close here. And I do see that it is, wow, communication is key at the bottom. After what I was just saying, hey, yeah, this is really interesting. So you might have to, wow, have courage. It's going to be tough in those moments. It's going to feel really great at first because you're going to be like feeling free, feeling light, but then there's also a scary part of feeling free and feeling light as well. So yeah, this thing is focus on children. And, you know, I always think of, you know, not a lot of us have kids, you know, these days, but I do feel like this could also go for like maybe your pets too. Focus on them, you know, like, you know, we're all fucking buying, like we have cats and dogs and shit instead of kids nowadays. So, you know, focus on them if you're ever feeling, you know, low and sad, you know, focus on something that you can nurture and like really, and treat yourself with that same nurture too as you're going through this. You know, it's important to be strong and have courage, but it's also important to, you know, have a lot of compassion for yourself when you're going through this type of beginning, because basically you're starting over. This feels like a start over for some of you. I'm not saying all of you, but it's going to feel so new that it's like being born for the first time. So really interesting. Normally I don't give a timeline like that, but hey, it came through. So whatever. All right. But is that all I got? Yeah, I think that's all I got right now. Yeah. The Hierophant, trust yourself. Trust yourself right now. I split the deck. So there is a need to really remember, take note, write a note to your future self. Like, hey, we're doing this for all of these reasons. Don't get to that point afterwards and then start regretting everything because you're looking back in a romanticized lens. That is the main be careful warning, you know, thing coming through. But I really appreciate y'all being here with me. If you resonated, please let me know how in the comments. Give me a like or subscribe if you're interested in my channel. And if you're interested in a personal private reading or joining my Patreon, that'll be in the description box below. Anything else? Nope, I think I got it. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day. Bye.